So this is just a 10, 15, 20-minute discussion regarding the unintended consequences of SaaS migrations for good and for ill. So first off, this is me. I've been around a long time, done a lot of stuff in PeopleSoft. I'm all about getting rid of pain points in business processes using custom PeopleSoft solutions. I am, at least in as far as my memory, as far back as my memory goes, an undefeated thumb wrestler. And partly that comes from choosing my opponents carefully. Gideon Taylor is a PeopleSoft custom solutions provider. And so thinking about how the custom space is impacted by SaaS migrations is really part of our thinking in this little discussion. We're all about revolutionizing business processes through specific skills and tools, including GTE Forms, which we'll show you in another slide here. Our vision is just to help people get their work done in a more simple way, more effectively, more efficiently, and in a way that is flexible. And the solutions that we provide as products, in addition to our services, are constitute an Oracle validated integration. So a few of our clients, a little NASCAR slide there, including quite a bit of public sector and a lot of higher ed. And GTE Forms fills, first off, we are a consulting firm, and as a consultancy, we focus very much on the space and the tools that allow for custom solutions to be strategically developed inside of PeopleSoft, including our own product, GTE Forms, including all the yummy goodness that PeopleSoft provides in that to allow for the creation of custom solutions in the platform. GTE Forms fills this really wide gap between, well, it should be wide, between what you can accomplish with, for example, the delivered forms and approval builder and what you have to resort to custom fluid development to accomplish. GTE Forms gives you a way to build new fluid applications with functional effort. So a business analyst can actually put the fields on the pages, can add conditional behavior, pre-population, restricted values, conditional routing, dynamic behavior, inline text and rich text, and do all that in a fluid space. And then you can extend that with lots of technical extensions to get to really whatever level of complexity you need. So that's a little intro to us. Just one more intro. We have added a new logo to the Gideon Taylor family. We completed just in the last couple of weeks a merger with Newberry Consulting Group. Newberry is now operating as Newberry Enterprise Services, a division of Gideon Taylor. And through Newberry, we offer a full suite of PeopleSoft services, including implementations, upgrades, hosting, managed services, pretty much anything that you would want to do in PeopleSoft, we can help you accomplish. Okay, so that's the shameless plug portion. Let's get into just some broad thinking here. So I'm going to actually switch over at this point to a screen that I can draw on. So I'm going to stop sharing one screen and then, oh, Eric, I didn't notice your chat, Eric, that you're doing us the favor of not chewing in our ears. Thank you for staying on mute while you eat dinner, and congratulations on your constructive use or your efficient use of time. Okay, I'm going to switch over to this Here we go, to some place where I can do some drawing. Okay, so if you think about this as a map of your PeopleSoft system, and including the systems and the sub processes that you integrate with and that surround your PeopleSoft system, we've got a few different axes here. We have the axis of delivered to custom, and that is a continuum, because you have stuff that rigidly functions a certain way, but then you also have configuration options that PeopleSoft gives, that it's a delivered option, but you have created custom behavior in the way that you've implemented it. Or this could include reports. Some you have delivered reports, you have custom reports, but you're using the delivered tool in order to get those reports. And then on this far end, at the top of the spectrum, you have features that are heavily custom, that may require custom development, extra tools, all sorts of things here. So that's the vertical axis. Then the horizontal axis here, we've got stuff that constitute bad ideas through neutral to good ideas. And so on those two axes, we've got a few different, we'll just describe how these, what happens in the intersection of those axes. So first off, we've got your basic functionality. And your basic functionality are the core pieces of PeopleSoft that they're delivered, they're general, everyone has to do them. This is your accounts payable, your payroll, all these core things that everyone has to do. And so those are thick and rich and chocolatey. There's just a lot that PeopleSoft delivers. And then you start to stretch up into, as far as delivered functionality goes, you stretch up toward the specific. So the stuff that, again, is neutral, it includes stuff that's specific to industries. So, hey, in our industry, we have to do this thing that nobody else does. It could be locality. We have a state regulation that requires that we do this functionality. And if that's in Wyoming, then PeopleSoft may or may not deliver that. And a SaaS provider may or may not deliver that. And then you might have stuff that's specific to a certain group of constituents that you need to provide it. And it's neutral because it's, you need it, but it's not necessarily that it's helping you or that it's hurting you. It's just there. Then you have stuff that PeopleSoft delivers that really constitutes best practices. This is stuff that by implementing it, you're actually really helping your organization and making a big difference. So there is a lot of that. PeopleSoft delivers a lot of good stuff. Now, that doesn't mean that you've implemented all of it. It may be that you've only implemented a little bit of that. If so, is moving to a SaaS platform going to help with that? Well, it might, if you use the opportunity to actually implement best practices, but it is something that you could actually do without doing that SaaS migration. So again, one of the consequences of SaaS migrations that could be a benefit is that it might make you do things that you should have done anyway, and that you could have done anyway, and you could have done on your existing platform that you could have done a long time ago. So that could be a good reason to, or at least a consequence that hopefully isn't the driving reason that you move, but maybe an unintended positive consequence of migrating. Okay, then you've also got stuff that PeopleSoft delivers that is really a bad idea. And it's still being delivered because it's a legacy. It's been there. They can't take it out anymore because there's still people using it, or it just takes time to take it out. And maybe you're using it, and maybe you're using it in ways that aren't helpful. Maybe you're stuck in the same outdated, deprecated process that gave birth to that delivered functionality in the first place. So, hopefully you have less of that, but you might have more. This graph is going to look different for every organization. So then we get into custom stuff. Why did we build the custom stuff that we built? Well, there's going to be some stuff, and PeopleSoft provides one of the really driving things about PeopleSoft. One of the big benefits has always been your ability to create custom applications and to support custom business processes on it. And that can be, like I said, anywhere from building new reports. It can be building adding pages, adding tables, adding bolt-on applications. It can include modifying existing PeopleSoft behavior. That's it's a development platform, and you can do whatever the heck you want with it. Now, once you start modifying delivered stuff, and especially if you're modifying stuff that is hard to maintain, that's getting over into ill-conceived and perhaps poorly executed. Maybe you needed that custom behavior, but maybe doing a mod was not the best way to do it. You may still be doing stuff that is just habitual. We're doing it because we've always done it, and nobody's come up with a better way. And you may be doing it because it may have been implemented in a short-sighted way. It may be being done for political reasons that don't really help. It might be provincial, as in it's only helping a few of the people in your organization and taking an inordinate amount of resources to maintain that functionality that isn't helping enough people. It might be the result of a personal passion project, whether that's from an executive or a developer. It might be just extra, just stuff that got built that you just really don't need anymore. It may have become bloated and not really helping, being more weight than it's worth. But hopefully you've used the flexibility of PeopleSoft to build some innovation, to do things that actually help you accomplish the mission of your organization in specific ways that are forward thinking, that are brilliant, that give you a competitive advantage in your space, that accomplish the strategic objectives of your organization. Or it might just be stuff that has to be done, but you have developed custom processes to do it in a highly optimized, very efficient way. So then we look at saying, all right, well, let's consider then going to let's say that we're going to implement a SaaS solution. Well, the SaaS solution ends up looking something like this. So this could be Workday, could be Oracle apps, but you end up drawing a box. And hopefully that box leans more toward best practices and away from wrong thinking, and hopefully it includes the basic functionality that you need. But by their very nature, they are going to exclude a lot of stuff. And one of the big benefits of a SaaS migration that may, again, not be one that's acknowledged generally, is that implementing that SaaS platform kind of forces you to get rid of this stuff. It chops it off. Well, first off, it chops this off. It's a new platform. They don't have a bunch of outdated stuff. It hasn't been around since the 80s. So it's been rethought, and when you move to it, of necessity, that stuff gets chopped off. Maybe come back to that. And it chops off the stuff that you never should have been doing in the first place. The stuff that PeopleSoft, being this open, easily updated and customized platform, it let you do it. And the SaaS, I'll write in SaaS here, the SaaS platform won't let you do it, at least not easily, at least not in their platform, because it's not going to let you do anything that isn't in their platform. So that is a benefit. And I don't know if it's a benefit that's highly considered in the decision-making process. Are they really thinking at that executive level, hey, this will get rid of all the stupid stuff that we never should have been doing in the first place? Well, it's a benefit. However, you also have the question then, as you move over to neutral, well, is the platform robust enough to have the individual feature set that we leverage and that we need, and that PeopleSoft has been developing over, since the 80s, whether it's language specific or country specific or locality specific or whatever. Some of those include big things like campus solutions. There's just an area where the SaaS providers haven't really caught up in any significant way. So then what do you do? Do you build interfaces with external systems that are and adopt additional subscription services? Do you rebuild these individually as shadow systems? Do they devolve onto spreadsheets and into Word documents and PDFs? What happens to all that stuff? That needs to be considered as you go forward. But then the biggest potential loss is over here in this area. All the ways that you have been using your enterprise platform to innovate and to do things that are awesome and that really help, and that help your organization accomplish its goals much more effectively and much more efficiently. Custom stuff. It is harder to do custom things in SaaS applications. That is, again, one of the benefits. If we're talking over on this side of the page, it's a downside once we're talking on this side of the page, because now you have to decide, okay, how are we going to get that beneficial custom behavior? How are we going to get back to that optimized process? And there are ways to do that. One way is using robotic process automation, which we just started doing more of because Newberry has a robotic process automation practice. So RPA can replace some of the when things get less efficient and more iterative and more manual, it can replace manual user processes. But you're going to end up with shadow systems here as well, saying, okay, well, these different departments or these different localities or such forth are going to end up building their own process in order to handle these things. And from a central perspective, the people who are managing the enterprise system, which is now shrunk, they may not even realize what's happening out here. Their job may have just got easier. Your job may have just got easier. Hey, now we're just managing what the SaaS provider is giving us. Well, the cries from the outlying departments and from the individual constituencies will eventually die down. And part of it is because they'll be building their own shadow systems, and they will be getting their own subscriptions to other SaaS providers, and that won't necessarily add up to a net benefit. It's not a given that it'll be better that way than it is with PeopleSoft. So this isn't saying that you should not go to a SaaS solution. It's saying that you need to consider what the impact will be in ways that really reach outside of the system. Another thing to consider is that nothing starts old. Everything starts new, but eventually the SaaS things that are new and shiny will start to look old and outdated. If we've been using Salesforce long enough. Originally, Salesforce was this amazingly bright, shiny new thing. Well, it doesn't look quite as bright, shiny, and new anymore, and they keep trying to make it look shiny and new again. But part of the problem is there is so much inertia, so much momentum of all these huge industries that rely on its present function every day, that they can't stop doing what they were doing 15 years ago. And so Workday and Oracle Cloud Apps, even though they will be able to drag people along a little better in some ways, because you release new functionality or you deprecate functionality, everyone has to go off of it. But at the same time, that forms an anchor. It means that just like with PeopleSoft, there will be stuff that they can't stop doing, even though there are better ways to do it. So eventually this will drift wider, and you'll have outdated, deprecated legacy behavior that you will really have to be innovative and thoughtful and mindful to not use, to take out as your needs change or as the market changes. So that's those are the thoughts I wanted to share, just to be thinking about how is this going to impact your organization, and consider, as you're looking at that SaaS migration, first off, you have lots of benefits of SaaS that you can accomplish just by moving PeopleSoft to the cloud. And that gives you the savings on hardware. It gives you the opportunity to change it from an asset-based capital expense to from capital asset-based to operational expense-based accounting on the hardware side. You can accomplish the same thing with services by implementing managed services. Newberry will soon be enhancing our managed services offering and offering an OCI-based hosting option. So those things can get you a lot of the way there without the disruption of changing the underlying provider. So really it comes down to thinking through how this is going to affect the broad ecosystem that is so big and so ingrained in your organization that it's hard to see. Hopefully these thoughts will give you some new ways to consider what the impact will be if and when you implement a SaaS solution. And with that, I will pause for questions. I think I'll just leave this screen up so that you can ponder. But any other questions or discussion that you'd like to? Any other thoughts that this brings to mind, or ideas, places where I'm wrong, or places where you agree? See if anybody wants to come off mute. If none of our vast audience wants, oh, Debbie just came off mute. Debbie, what are you thinking?
Well, I thought you probably would like some feedback, so
thank you.
I think you've just stated things that I'm thinking of as well. Like, it takes us so long to make a change.
Mm-hmm.
By the time we get to the cloud, if we get to the cloud, there'll probably be something else, right? The next movement will be coming about, and I can see where, well, we actually still have a large system application revenue that's runs on a mainframe, COBOL, and it's, I don't know how long it's going to take to get us off of that. We've been working on this project for years, and we're still barely scratching the surface.
Right.
So yeah, I guess my concern is that we're going to go through some effort just to say we are on the cloud, we're up to date, and then then where are we going to be? We're going to have another big effort, and I don't know what that looks like. I don't know. I've worked with PeopleSoft for a long time, and I can see the value. I mean, it works really well for our organization to be able to develop custom bolt-ons on the same platform instead of writing all these separate applications. But it's interesting to see how it's evolving.
It is, and one of the persistent misunderstandings in the whole topic is, what do we mean by cloud? We say we need to be cloud-based. Well, literally speaking, that just speaks to where the data lives. Is it in your data center or is it in someone else's? There are definitely some huge advantages to it being in someone else's. There are some disadvantages as well, but it opens up all sorts of new possibilities. But oftentimes people equate cloud with software as a service and say, okay, a cloud-based application is one that is provided only on the cloud, and that's not necessarily the case. Of course, PeopleSoft can live on the cloud just fine. So you can subdivide and you can look and say, yes, we want the benefits of being cloud-based. Do we also want the benefits and associated downsides of being SaaS-based, of sharing an instance where we're going to be, and again, one of the big benefits, and in some ways it's such a huge benefit that it's inexorable and irresistible, that benefit that it will take away our ability to make bad decisions. And it's a cynical thing, but it'll do that. There will be things where, right now in PeopleSoft, as I've been in PeopleSoft for 25 years, and I've had the problem for 25 years that people ask, well, can you do this? And I have to say yes, every time. Usually that's a good thing, but when it's a bad idea, it's a bad thing. That yes, you can do that. You can modify the COBOL in the delivered payroll calc. Yes, we can do that. If you force us to, we can accomplish that. Should we? That's a whole different question. But so yeah, going to SaaS takes away a lot of those bad decisions. My last cynical thought was, these things that we think we're getting rid of, they have staying power too, and I am pretty certain there will be a lot of them that will end up being rebuilt as shadow systems, things that never should have happened in the first place. They're now off the radar for the central for the central business, but they're still happening and still damaging the business off in the departments because business processes have momentum and inertia, even when it's negative.
Right.
And on that cheery
Okay.
thought, we'll
Thank
wrap
you.
it up. Thank you, Debbie.
Thank you, Debbie.